Hi, I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching accesstv.org.
Good morning and welcome to Everything is Health. I'm Dr. Helen Newton and I'm here with Mui Mui Hin-McCormick, and we're here at the Access TV station located at 77 Wadsworth Street. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Dr. Newton. Good, how are you?
Good. So Mui Mui, it's wonderful to have you here today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, and thank you again for this opportunity. So I am the Executive Director of Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission. It is one of 6 legislative commissions in Connecticut. And a little bit about my background is I am actually a Chinese Lao refugee that came here in the 1980s with my family. So I think I can draw a lot of personal experience working with the Asian community from my own personal background. In addition to that, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in Connecticut, so I am able to provide clinical services as well, and I'm very aware of the mental health and behavioral issues surrounding APAs in Connecticut.
Well, welcome here. We're so happy to have you here, and we want to learn more about your commission. So let's start out. Tell us a little bit more about the Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission.
Great. So our commission was created back in 2008 by the legislative body. We are comprised of 21 volunteer board members that are nonpartisan. So we really try to find individuals that hold expertise in specific fields such as health, education, public safety, environment. And we also have positions that fill specific counties, which would include the 8 counties that we have. Our board meets on a monthly basis, and we have subcommittees that our board members participate in. We are doing a lot of work. We're in the community. We are trying to raise awareness regarding health issues, health rights, legal education, providing to the community members. It's really about trying to service our community members, trying to find out what their specific needs are, and trying to either create programming to address that or connect them with appropriate resources.
Wonderful. Now, before we go into that part of our discussion, did you say that you were a immigrant and a refugee yourself?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Vientiane, Laos, which is the capital of Laos. It's a Southeast Asian country. A lot of people don't know where it's located because it's very small. If people are familiar with Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, it's actually around that area.
Okay.
Laos, for those who don't know, was probably one of the heaviest bombed countries in the 70s. So you can only imagine the aftermath that's caused. A lot of, trauma, a lot of physical, a lot of governmental still issues with the citizens, the individuals that are trying to make a life there. So there's still a lot of issues going on as well.
Wow, I could just imagine the devastation that occurred to the country. So it's important also for everyone else to become aware of it. So we'd like to talk a little bit more about that. Now, I know that you were involved with the needs assessment that was done by your commission in terms of Southeast Asian populations. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've been involved in?
Absolutely. Our needs assessment has actually been a concept for years to come, and we were finally able to actually get some funding from the state to conduct the needs assessment. Our hope is to be able to pursue additional needs assessments in the future and actually complete as many as possible within the Asian Pacific American community. We have almost 50 countries that we represent. We have a great diversity of ethnic backgrounds. There also is difference regarding unique needs and concerns from each community. So we thought about being able to pilot the needs assessment, and we decided to identify the Southeast Asian community because they are kind of a smaller community in Connecticut, but when you pull them together, they make about 14% of the APAs in Connecticut, so that roughly is about 22,000 people. And what we're hoping to do is be able to, in 2016, conduct a needs assessment in the South Asian community, which would primarily be Indians, South Asian Indians. And then 2017, we want to conduct a needs assessment in the Chinese community, which is the second largest APA community in Connecticut. Our Southeast Asian needs assessment really was able to identify quite a bit of health disparities and social disparities. It wasn't really a surprise, but I think now that we have some data,
Yes.
we can really try to assist providers, mainstream, agencies, state government, to really be able to address and hopefully find some resolutions to these rising needs.
Could you please give us some information about the 3 subpopulations that were studied in your needs assessment?
Yes, our commission was fortunate to be able to partner with 3 grassroots community leaders coming from the Cambodian community, with Khmer Health Advocates as the agency, with the Vietnamese community, with Connecticut Coalition for Mutual Assistance, and then also with the Lao community from the Lao Association of Connecticut. We were able to partner with them, which meant that they actually were from the beginning steps of creating and developing the survey to actually conducting and implementing the survey with community members. We had each partner complete 100 face-to-face surveys, which took about 1.5 to 2 hours. Majority of the surveys were conducted in their native language, so Laotian, Khmer, and then also Vietnamese.
Well, let me just say this. An hour and a half for a survey, that's a commitment on the part of all the participants. How did you get people to agree to an hour and a half survey?
So what we did was we basically connected with these grassroots community leaders, and we proposed the idea and the concept. We really said, this is what our commission wants to do. We want to be able to create awareness. We want to be able to hopefully increase some funding towards agencies that really work with the Asian population. And this is one of the action steps for us to be able to actually do that. It's to be able to provide concrete data to our policymakers, to our mainstream providers, and others who are interested in serving the APA community.
So when did the survey take place?
So it was a whole year of effort, and the surveys actually were conducted in April and May.
Of 2014?
Yes.
Wow, so it's very recent.
Yes.
This is very current
Yeah.
data.
This is the first Southeast Asian needs assessment conducted by the state of Connecticut.
Well, this is wonderful, and I'm sure needed.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the study method.
So the methodology was a snowball method. It really consisted of networking. Individuals were able to provide contact information about other individuals that might be interested in partaking on the survey. We decided not to use a random sample because of a lot of various barriers. Number one being financial. We did not have the finances to be able to actually conduct a random survey. Our budget was very limited. The second part was we don't have a pool of contacts to be able to actually randomly sample from. So we would have to, try to do a lot of research and digging to actually identify that large pool that we needed to be able to draw from. The other part is some of our partners actually completed surveys previously, and they attempted to do the random and found that it was very difficult, and they weren't able to get the information that they were looking for.
So that was great. You learned from past
Yes.
experiences and you were able to build on it.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Is there a particular reason why you chose the 3 subpopulations that you chose? Was it the Cambodians, people from
Laotian,
Laos, and the
And
third was
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese?
Yeah.
Was there a particular reason why you chose those 3 subpopulations in particular, or was it just by numbers?
What we wanted to do was we really wanted to pilot the needs assessment, and we wanted to be able to, make it as feasible as possible.
Mhm.
So looking at that, identifying our contacts that we already had in existence, and being able to say this is a smaller sample for us to really be able to learn from and start with, that's pretty much how we were able to conclude that this should be the population we start with.
Okay. And now can you start giving us some of the results from your study?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So one thing that a lot of individuals were probably surprised about, and we we were able to hold a press conference at the Capitol
Yes.
on June 30th, and we were very pleased with attendance. We had a lot of individuals from representing state agencies. We had community members, and we also had providers there attending as well.
Wonderful.
A lot of people were surprised that the survey results indicated as high as 76% of the Southeast Asian community actually had primary care physicians.
Yes.
The issue there, though, is that out of the 76%, there is a very low number that actually accessed their primary care physician. So there's still an issue.
Yes.
You know, just because there's a high percentage of individuals that have the primary care physician that we would want, if you're not accessing these services, there's still an issue. And we have to look at what are the barriers that are
Yes.
preventing individuals and families from accessing care.
And that's a major, major question. I noticed in the survey that there was over 50% of the participants who said that the services that were being rendered by the caregivers were not either culturally or linguistically appropriate. Could you comment on that, please?
Absolutely, and that's one of the barriers. It's
yes.
actually two of the barriers, right?
Yes.
The cultural competency
Yes.
and the linguistic
Absolutely.
challenge. So out of the 76% that said that they had primary care physicians, majority of those physicians were not knowledgeable of the Asian culture, and they did not speak an Asian language. So therefore, you know, you have the result of individuals not accessing services as we would hope them to do. Our commission tries to really encourage our community members to maintain overall good health.
Yes.
And part of that is being able to have your yearly checkups. So we're trying to educate and outreach to our Asian community members and really indicate the significance behind that. It's very difficult for these community members to follow through and feel comfortable with if they don't have somebody that they're working with that understands their culture,
Right.
that understands their language. So that's a huge barrier.
So I know in the state of Connecticut, it is a requirement now to have a language line so that any person that comes in for care would have access to information in their own language. I was a little surprised at the numbers, but then I think another thought that came up was whether most of the people were receiving their care from hospital-based clinics or was it community-based clinics?
So what you're referring to is the class standards,
Yeah,
the
okay.
culturally, linguistically appropriate services. And by federal law, Title VI, any agency or business receiving Title VI funding is required to provide
Yes.
a culturally appropriate interpreter. So
Yes.
whether they choose to use language line, which most hospitals do,
Yes.
or they choose to hire interpreters themselves, or use some interpretation agencies. I think a lot of our population actually does not visit a lot of the hospital settings because of the language and cultural piece.
Yes.
A lot of our members end up in the emergency room after they are not able to take the pain or suffering that they are going through, or as a last resort of the other alternative medicines that they've attempted to do to heal or improve their situation. It's very difficult to try to encourage members to not go to the emergency room. Once again, they don't understand the concept behind maintenance of overall health.
So we know that Hartford actually represents one of the areas for health professionals. It's a health professional shortage area. So we are definitely looking for more healthcare
Yes.
professionals in just about every area. But I know one of the areas besides primary care is mental health.
Yes.
Would you care to mention something about what you found in
Yeah.
terms of mental health?
As high as 75% are actually diagnosed or haven't been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is not surprising because of the wars that took place in the 70s, within the Southeast Asian countries. So you have a lot of PTSD that either hasn't been diagnosed or has been diagnosed. Our members, they don't understand the concept of mental health either. You know, they really relate it back to more of a spiritual, ancestral, and they really feel like they're not able to get the connection of, something not being able to get connected and then having kind of a consequence or biological kind of result to that. One of the things that our commission is actually trying to do is raise awareness about what health rights are. So one of our campaigns has been the I Speak cards.
Yes.
So these I Speak cards are business-sized cards. On one side is English, on the other side is a specific Asian language. And what we're hoping community members do is bring these business cards to their medical providers, especially the Title VI funding, so hospitals, and the provider can read for himself or herself that this individual is not proficient in English, they are proficient in a specific Asian language, and they need a qualified interpreter. Right there and then, it tells the provider and puts responsibility where responsibility needs to occur
Yes.
on the provider. It also lists various numbers, including our commission, if an individual needs to file a complaint or felt that they were discriminated against during their appointment.
Well, this is very, very important information. I don't really want to stop at this point because there's so much more that we can talk about and so much more that we need to talk
Yes.
about. But for now, we're going to have to just take a pause because we're at the end of our time. But I really wanted to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for the information that you've shared. And most of all, I want to thank you for your foresight in doing the needs assessment that looked at the subpopulations of these Southeast populations. So with that, I thank you again. This is Dr. Helen Newton, and this is Everything is Health, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.